What's going on YouTube? Today I bring you my Week 11 predictions for the 2021 NFL season. I've been sick recently, but I do have content on the way, as I've been telling you guys. I know I've been saying it for the last couple weeks, but we are going to get content rolling here just as soon as I kind of get out of this little sickness I'm in. But today we are doing our Week 11 predictions, and so without further ado, let's get into the video. So starting off with Thursday Night Football, we have a rematch of Super Bowl 52 now, or 51 now, which was quite a while ago, and it is the Patriots in Atlanta. And I don't think this is a particularly close matchup. Now, I only have New England winning by one score just because the Falcons have been besides last week, they were pretty solid, obviously, a couple weeks ago against the Saints, and they've been playing some better than normal football. I mean, again, before the Dallas game, they were playing pretty good, especially Matt Ryan, considering, he didn't have any receivers, basically. And that defense, I think, has definitely taken a step up, again, disregarding last week. Last week was a tragedy. It was a massacre by all meanings of the word. And, I think the Falcons are a better team than that, obviously. The Cowboys are just a much better team. And so I think they'll make this a close, competitive game in Atlanta. But the Patriots are on a roll right now. I had them at 12-5. I thought they could be a bit of a better team than people were giving them credit for, and they've been playing as such recently. So I do have the Patriots winning this one in a one-score game, but I do have the Patriots pulling this one out on Thursday night. Then our first Sunday game, and we have the Ravens in Chicago. Bears coming off of a bye week, so after a bit of a week of rest, they're coming in with not the strongest schedule in the world, or not the strongest record in the world. Ravens, for example, are coming in with a better record, obviously, but fresh off a loss against the Dolphins, which was quite the embarrassing loss, to be honest. They just could not get anything going on offense or defense, really, and it hurt them. And so with the Bears, I think they're about the same level as the Dolphins, and it's in Chicago. Bears have had a week of rest. How does that affect them coming into this game? And to be honest, I think the Ravens are just a team that sometimes they come in with really poor game plans because the Ravens either seem to dominate or look really bad. They're just one of those teams where it's one or the other. And I think this is going to be one of those games where they just come in with a much, much better game plan and pull off the win here in Chicago. I don't really see the Bears winning this one, but I didn't see the Dolphins winning last week either. So who knows? I don't really want to lock in games at all anymore, just because the season has been so insane. But I don't think the Ravens drop 2 games in a row like that, and so I think they will try to keep afloat the AFC North. Then we have the Packers in Minnesota, and Packers have been rolling. Besides 2 losses, a bad loss to start the season, and Kansas City without Aaron Rodgers, they've been rolling. Their offense is just full steam ahead. Aaron Jones, I think, is out for a little bit, but they got AJ Dillon, so that's great. And the defense, they've just had some great guys, even without Jair Alexander and Zadarius Smith, and that's crazy to think about, the fact that their 2 best defensive players are out right now. They have had guys step up. If you look at the linebacking core, Devondre Campbell has played like an all-pro linebacker this year. In a corner room, Eric Stokes has played really, really good as a first-year guy. Chandon Sullivan has really stepped up. On the pass rushing side, Rashawn Gary has finally taken that step up, and I think you can feel pretty confident moving forward with him across from whoever, whether it be Preston Smith or Zadarius Smith, if they do keep one of them. Either way, they've just had guys step up. Matt LaFleur is a great coach. Aaron Rodgers still on the top of his game. Honestly, Aaron Rodgers might be my selection to win MVP if the season ended today. That's how good he's been. Whereas with the Vikings, yes, coming off a win against the Chargers that I predicted was still not the strongest win in the world, and they're still not the strongest team. They are a much better team than the record. And I've been accurate with their record. I thought that they would start out a little slower, but they're a much better team than their record, though. And you look across the board of that team, they are. And I really do think the big issue is Mike Zimmer. You get Mike Zimmer out of there, I really do think the Vikings will be a good competitive team next year. In fact, I actually think probably likely that Aaron Rodgers leaves after this year, and I think it's the Vikings division at that point. Maybe the Bears will be a bit more competitive, but I think it'll be the Vikings division. And so I don't think that's going to reflect in this game. I still do have the Packers winning this one pretty easily, 11 points. Vikings will put up a good game, but I do have the Packers winning. Then we have the Colts in Buffalo. And the Colts, they're finally starting to rebound a little bit. The defense has kept up its elite play. The offense, it's getting it done. I think the main thing you can attribute it to is the fact that Jonathan Taylor is really emerging as one of the elite backs in the NFL, but also the fact that Michael Pittman has really taken that next step, which is something that they desperately needed. They really needed a receiver to take that step forward, and Michael Pittman did that for them. So that's great. Only issue is you're playing Buffalo in Buffalo. I don't think they win this game, but Buffalo, besides the Jacksonville game, which it just seems like fluke games are happening to every good team this year. Besides Jacksonville, the Buffalo Bills have been a great team on both sides of the ball. I think the Colts defense is a bit better than the Bills, but the Bills offense is just easily better than the Colts, and so I will take Buffalo in this game. Then we have Detroit in Cleveland, and Detroit, they put up a noble battle. They really did. I mean, if going 0-16-1 is the best way to avoid 0-17, then be 0-16-1, I guess. You'll still have the first overall pick. But I mean, they put up heart. That's the thing, is that they definitely had heart in that game against Pittsburgh. It's a shame they couldn't seal it out. But they're once again showing that this is probably the greatest. Maybe if they end up going 0-16, it's easily the greatest 0-16 team ever. And honestly, I think this Lions team is better than teams like the Texans, the Jaguars, but they just get so unlucky and just can't finish games like we just saw. And the Browns just obviously a better opponent. Now, they've been bad this year. They've had issues across the board. They're either really hot or really cold. And unlike the Ravens, for example, I don't think it's about game plan. It's just that, it's like once every 3 or 4 weeks, the Browns' entire team just shows up and dominates a team like the Broncos or the Bengals. And then the next week, they'll go and get dominated because they just don't. It's like they don't want to play, And so it's weird. After getting dominated by the Patriots, yeah, that was bad. I don't think they're bad enough to lose to the Lions, though. So I do have the Browns pulling this one out, but only by 10 points, barely covering it. And then moving on to a former matchup, we got Ron Rivera and his football team versus Cam Newton, now back with the Panthers. And I think here's the thing, is Cam Newton obviously still played well for the Panthers. I mean, his first 2 plays went for touchdowns. And that's because obviously they know how to use Cam, right? He's a runner. But I really do think he would have started if he just had a bit more time to get the playbook down. And so this week, I think he will be starting for Carolina. PJ Walker played good, obviously. But I just think, with a guy like Newton going up against his former team here, it's going to be a really interesting game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Newton actually gets benched, because my prediction is that this is going to be a really low-scoring defensive game, because I think Washington's offense is going to struggle against Carolina for sure, but I also think that Cam Newton's going to struggle really poorly against his former coach, who I think he knows him, so he'll be able to keep him under wraps, and that'll be the point where they throw PJ Walker in there. And maybe he almost leads a comeback, but I don't see them quite pulling this one out. I just think, Panthers are the more talented team, and it's in Carolina. However, I just think it's one of those things where, Rivera just knows Cam Newton, and I think he'll be able to keep the Panthers pretty low scoring or scoreless for long enough to get his offense a few scores on the board. And so I'm not super confident in it, but I am predicting an upset with Washington winning over Carolina this week. Then we have the Texans coming off of a bye to play the rolling Titans. I don't see much of a competition here. You have the Texans, who have struggled ever since week 1, and the Titans, who have been elite ever since week 4. Even without Derrick Henry the past few weeks, they've just been great. And I think this is a team that people are probably going to start to overrate towards the end of the season, because if you look at the rest of their schedule, they have a very easy schedule, and playing the Texans, just proof of that, right? And so, they'll probably finish with around 13 or 14 wins like I predicted, but I think that they're going to start to get so overrated, it's going to get into their heads a little bit, to where, they're going to come into the playoffs, being this team that everybody thinks can win it and is going to dominate the AFC, and they're probably going to end up getting upset in, the divisional or the AFC championship. So Titans, they're a great team. They've got great pieces. Jeffrey Simmons finally taking that next step up because he's always been underrated. Their defense is playing good in general. Their offense is still playing great even without Derrick Henry. So it really does make you wonder, maybe with Derrick Henry back, they are just this formidable team that nobody can beat. But I don't quite think so. I think they're going to get a little bit overhyped. Are they going to lose to the Texans? No, they're not. I got them winning this one pretty handily. But I think it is interesting seeing what the Titans do the rest of the season. Then we have the 49ers in Jacksonville, and you know, with the Niners, I was highly surprised by their win against LA. It was such a great win on both sides of the ball. Just especially Deebo Samuel, who just continues to wow people. George Kittle on his return did not disappoint. I mean, the offensive line's been great for San Francisco. The defense has been great. San Francisco, it's just they started out really poorly. Like they started out poorly, but they may have found something here. Jimmy Garoppolo, he looked good. So does Jimmy Garoppolo start to heat up towards the end of the season here? We'll see. This could be a team that does, have a great end of the season and pushes for a playoff spot. So we'll see. And playing Jacksonville certainly helps you get back to 500 because Jacksonville's not been very good. Besides that one fluke win against Buffalo, they've been a horrible team. I still think Urban Meyer's on his way out after the season. There's just been other distractions around the NFL that's kind of helped him keep his job this year. They're still a talented team. Trevor Lawrence is getting better. The defense especially is starting to develop a bit more. Josh Allen's starting to develop into a star. If you think about just the defense in general, I mean, trading away C.J. Henderson, right, just seems like a team that was kind of just not too keen on their defense playing well, and they've played better than the start of the season for sure. So Jacksonville, not a super good team. Niners a better team. Even in Jacksonville, I got them winning this one pretty easily. Then we got the Dolphins in New York for a divisional AFC East matchup. Dolphins are favored by 3 points. I think this could be a closer game than people might expect. I don't think it will be a closer game, but it could be, for sure. I got the Dolphins winning this one. They're coming off back-to-back really, really good wins. Maybe a team that gets much hotter in the second half of the season. I thought those Deshaun Watson rumors were a little ridiculous just because, like, Tua, I didn't think it was worth giving up on Tua yet, especially if he was just going to be sticking around as your backup, and he's been playing great recently. Like, anyone who hates Tua, who says Tua's trash, and that, like, he's not good and stuff, just has not been just has not been watching these last few weeks because he's proven that narrative wrong. He's been really good. Whereas with the Jets, Mike White didn't turn out to be all that. Zach Wilson is on a faster pace for a return, but he's not back yet. Defense. The defense for the Jets has been horrendous. I mean, you might not even understand. The Jets have allowed the most points in football this year at 296. Second place is the Falcons with 236. It was either 36 or 39. Either way, the Jets have allowed 60 more points than the second worst defense. That is horrible. And for a team like the Dolphins, that their offense is starting to get going and stuff, even though their offensive line has been horrendous. Like, you have the Jets defense who's been the worst in the league, but then the Dolphins O-line who's been the worst in the league. Might be a bit of a closer game than people expect. I do got the Dolphins winning this one pretty easily, though. Then moving on to really the toss-up of the week for me with the Saints at Philadelphia. I didn't take the Eagles to win last week, but I was telling in my video, like, do not be surprised if the Eagles win this game, and be assured they did. And then you have the Saints who dropped a game against Atlanta and then just barely lost to Tennessee. They're a better team than that. Losing Jameis Winston for the season really does hurt, obviously. Trevor Siemian's actually not been bad, though. The defense, it's been really good at times, but then at other times, I mean, they lost that Atlanta game because of their defense, So there's stuff like that where it's like the Saints, another one of those just hot and cold teams. They either look like an elite team one week or they look like garbage the next. And after 2 close losses to good teams, I think it's time to for New Orleans to finally get back on the win chart here in Philadelphia. Philly looked good last week, so maybe they do again here. And Jalen Hurts has been fantastic, by the way, recently. That's another one of those guys where if you hear people saying like, "Oh, Jalen Hurts sucks," they've just not been watching, because Jalen Hurts has been great. Devontae Smith has become an elite receiver the last couple weeks, and the defense has been really good, especially Darius Slay. So this Eagle team really is firing on all cylinders right now. Is that enough to get over the Saints? I don't quite think so, but they are a team that is starting to heat up a little bit. But I do got the Saints winning this one by a score. Then for our first afternoon game, we have the Bengals coming off a bye week to play the Raiders, and both of these teams in really similar situations. I didn't really like either one of them coming into the season. Both started off really well and then have gotten a little bit colder recently. Bengals, before their bye week, just coming off of losses to the Jets and to the Bengals, or to the Browns in pretty horrific fashion. In both those games, really. And then you have the Raiders, who just got absolutely destroyed by the Chiefs. Two teams they're in need for a desperate win, because one of these teams going to go to 500 in two divisions that are very, very competitive, and the other is going to improve to 6-4, which is going to put them, at the top or near the top of their division. So very, very important game in Las Vegas. You might think the Raiders have a bit of an edge. I just think the Bengals are a better team. The Raiders have some great talent, but they just struggle to put it all together, especially with an interim head coach right now. Zach Taylor has really improved as a coach, and that team is still really good. So I'm not very confident in it, but I am going to take the Bengals here by a score. But I could definitely see the Raiders winning this one in Las Vegas. Then we have my game of the week and betting game of the week with the Cowboys in Kansas City. And Kansas City coming off a great win against Vegas. I thought maybe, I took them to win. I thought maybe Vegas would make it a close game. No, the Chiefs just went in there. Patrick Mahomes, 5 touchdowns, which, by the way, he's got the most of any quarterback in the league since 2018. 5 touchdowns. Do they keep it up? That's the question. And I think the Cowboys are a much better team than the Raiders. Their defense on the same level for me, but their offense way better than the Raiders. And for a Chiefs team that, they played really good last week, but that's kind of been a rarity these past few weeks. If they come in this week in home and beat the Cowboys, okay, I think you can officially say the Chiefs are back, that they've figured things out. However, I just don't see that happening. I think they'll look really good. And I think, the Chiefs are still going to be a team that does eventually kind of come back this season. I just don't think it's this game. Going to drop back down to 6-5, because the Cowboys are just a very, very good team. But I could certainly see Kansas City winning this game. Like I just said, that's certainly a possibility. I just don't think it happens. I've got the Cowboys winning this one. And it's also my betting game of the week, just because, I don't feel super confident in it, but I think I'm not predicting the Chiefs to win. It's a decent spread. So if you're going to go bet on a game, which I wouldn't really this week, because there's a lot of close games and a lot of upsets this year. If you're going to go bet on a game, I guess this one, but I do not take my word for it. But I will take Cowboys in Kansas City. Then we've got another Sunday afternoon game, and it is the Cardinals in Seattle. And Seattle coming off some disappointing losses, even with Russell Wilson back, shut out for the first time ever, actually. That is the first time Russell Wilson has ever been shut out in a professional football game. And so I don't think that's a big concern going forward, because obviously the Seahawks are still a good team. They got a good head coach. They have a great quarterback, but it's tough when you just got your quarterback back from a hand injury and your team has been really underperforming. And Pete Carroll's play calling has been a little questionable this year, versus the Cardinals, who, they came off a bad loss against the Panthers, where they didn't have their quarterback or number one receiver, who just happens to be one of the best receivers in football. To me, the Cardinals just pretty easily outmatch the Seahawks on every level almost. And even on the levels they don't, it's really close. In Seattle, sure, but honestly, at this point, I might take Cliff Kingsbury over Pete Carroll, and I just think the Cardinals just a much better team that is going to definitely rebound after last week. They do have, I believe Kyler Murray is on pace to play, so I'll take the Cardinals in a close one. I think the Seahawks will play better than last week, but I will still take the Cardinals. Then our Sunday night football game, and the Steelers coming off a very disappointing tie to the Chargers, coming off a very disappointing loss. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the two teams, they're in similar situations right now, both battling for a top spot in the top of their very competitive divisions. Uh, I think it'll be a close, good game. Mainly it's because, like, Pittsburgh's offense is meh versus Chargers defense, who's been a little bit better than meh, but their run defense has been pretty horrendous, so that is going to hurt versus Najee Harris. It's more about the Chargers offense versus the Steelers defense. And the Steelers defense has just been a little hot and cold recently, especially this year. Well, I mean, like this year, especially recently in this year, the Steelers defense has just been a little hot and cold. I mean, obviously, you just tied with the Lions. So in LA, I do think the Chargers are the better team. They got, I think, a bit more momentum going for them because, to be honest, I'd rather lose to the Vikings than tie with the Lions. That's just me. I think they got a bit more momentum in LA, just a better team. I will take the Chargers in a close, good game, but I will take the Chargers. And then our last game of the week, we on Monday Night Football, we have the Giants in Tampa Bay, and you have the Giants who have not been playing very well this season, shown a few flashes. You got the Buccaneers who started out really, really hot and then have really cooled down recently. Their offense is really struggling, and their defense's pass rush has just been almost non-existent, to be honest. They have been hurt by injuries, sure, but for the way they've been playing, even Bruce Arians came out and said, like, they're a stupid football team, and they are. He's not wrong, because that's something that's always hurt the Buccaneers with Tom Brady, is penalties and just dumb mistakes that they're often able to overcome just because, like, they're such a good, talented football team. Except when you've got the injuries on top of that, it's going to lead to a couple losses, and it has. Are they going to lose to New York? No. In Tampa Bay, in a primetime game, I don't see Tampa Bay losing to the Giants. I mean, again, upsets have happened this year. I don't want to lock in any game anymore, but this just feels like one of those pretty sure ones where, yeah, you're not confident, but you're pretty sure. So I will take the Buccaneers in a pretty big beatdown on Monday Night Football. But that is going to be the video for my Week 11 predictions. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. I know I keep saying this, but I do got content coming. Just got to get over my sickness. I'm sure you've heard it all video, my voice. So thank you for sticking with me, you guys, and stay good, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.